Hi, Cup of Tri. Hello, Rob. It is me. I'm in Rio still. The whole thing is just wrapping up. It's just coming to an end. What a crazy couple of weeks it's been. I have completely been in a bubble. A lot of the time I've been in an office on the Olympic Park, but I have seen a lot of medalists because I was making sure that they get on TV and radio. I managed to escape a little bit once or twice. I saw a little bit of swimming. I saw Bradley Wiggins win his gold. I watched the men's triathlon on TV and was gripped. What a performance from Ali Brownlee, and absolutely chuffed for Johnny to take second. And then I was really lucky enough to actually get out to Copacabana and watch the women's race. Oh, it was. I was texting people all the way through it because I was so excited. Thrilled for Gwen Jorgensen to get the win. What a way to, come back for Nicola Spirig after her gold at 2012 and then becoming a mum and then taking silver and actually pushing Gwen to make a race of it. And then thrilled for Vicky Holland. Gutted as well for non-Stanford. I just wish there had been 4 medals. As for me, I have done next to nothing. 15 or 20-minute run most days is all about what I've managed. I think I swam twice, but that seems ages ago. No biking at all, so I'm getting that itchy feeling, which I think is a good thing. Speak soon. Bye.
Welcome to the Cup of Tri Triathlon podcast. We're brought to you every week with our sponsors, oxygenaddict.com, triathlonbox.co.uk, and precisionhydration.com. And also, we've got to remember our sponsors are patrons who help us out every week by sponsoring the show as well. Now, this week, Helen is still over in Rio, having a little bit of a holiday after the Olympics. I'm very, very lucky and excited to have Will Clarke here. Will, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Thanks. Nice to be back on the show. Thanks for inviting me.
Mate, it's great to come on. I really appreciate it after your amazing performance in Copenhagen this past weekend, buddy. Well done.
So good to finally get a good one, and I actually had a lot of pressure on myself for this race. It was the last day to qualify for Kona. And
yeah, you really took it down to the wire, didn't you, mate?
I did, yeah. I did. I like to keep my team management on edge, but it's yeah. He was there actually. He's called Bob the Wolf. He's our team director. We usually have team manager Ben the Wolf or team manager Bob the Wolf accompanying us at most races. So yeah, he was there with me helping out. I think he was really desperate to get me to Kona this year. So he's kind of leaving every stone, leaving no stone unturned. In that,
bless him. He must have been like a nervous father to be, pacing backwards and forwards to see how you got on, man.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but it's such a good feeling to. I kind of got on the run, and as soon as I felt my legs and saw the gaps, I knew that I had a podium in the bag, to be honest. So I could kind of high five him in the first 10K and kind of give him a bit of security that everything was going to be all right.
It was one of those days, was it, where you had magic legs getting off the bike?
Yeah, I think in an Ironman, if you get off the bike and your legs feel good in those first few steps, then I think as long as you're sensible, you can normally bank on a good day. I think because I was pretty sensible on the bike as well, so I definitely knew I'd left something in the tank for a good run. That's kind of how I like to race, rather than leave it all out there on the bike and then stuff around. I mean, that's a risky, dodgy way to get around an Ironman, I think.
It is, man. There's more and more guys seem willing to do it these days as well. Just kind of lay it all out on the bike and just see what happens on the run and hope for a good day. So I think, you showed real maturity and restraint there, holding yourself back, because there was some real fireworks went off on the bike over in Copenhagen, weren't there?
Yeah, it seems every race. I mean, there's I think everyone's got their card in Ironman. Some of them are good swimmers, some of them are great bikers, some of them run fast, and I think everyone just plays their cards. When it's time, and normally that means in pretty much every race there's bikers going off the front, putting 10 minutes into you, maybe even more, maybe 15 minutes in some cases. So you kind of just have to kind of stick to your plan. And I'm not an Uber biker. I wish I was. Hopefully maybe I can change that in the next few years and keep working on it. But if they're riding out their skin like that, and I'm riding out my skin in the first 60k of an Ironman, then I'd rather let them go and do my own thing. And that's how that's my way to get a good result at the moment. So.
Well, it's got to be said, man. I think it's only really this last year. I mean, up until last year, anyone who was riding under 420, your eyebrows went up into the top of your head, and you were like, when Ray Lurt did his ride over at Roth, everyone was like, "Oh man, that is unbelievably fast." And until then, like if you were down in the 420s, like you were this week, people would have been going, "That's a super fast bike split." And then all of a sudden, it seems this year there's been this step change, and there's loads of guys riding down in the low 410s, 412, 414, like at this race. So, like, I really feel for you, man, because a year ago, a 424, you'd have been off the bike with like a 20-minute head start.
I tell you what, like, really, I mean, I felt it, especially in the 70.3s this year. Some of the specialists in that, we've got a guy called Andy Dreitz. He's a German lad. He's a real tank. He's got massive legs. He's a big strong lad. And there's also another lad called Lionel Sanders from Canada, and those guys are just absolutely ripping it up on the bike at the moment. And I just have no chance. I mean, they can pass, and all I can do is admire them. To be honest, they're unbelievable. I did before Copenhagen. I raced in a 70.3 in Wiesbaden.
I was going to say, yeah, you raced a week before Copenhagen, didn't you, at Wiesbaden? So, I mean, that was an interesting taper strategy, bro.
I know, but it's collecting points. I mean, that was 1,500 points up for grabs. And if I got fifth in Copenhagen,
sure.
then I could maybe rely on that Wiesbaden race. But anyway, that race is that race was European champs. So we had all of the Uber German bikers out, and it's also one of the hardest courses on the circuit. And let me tell you, it was really, really, really tough. Probably the hardest that I've ever ridden on the bike. And I got 10 minutes put into me by Andy Dreitz, and I pushed 330 watts, which is a average, which is a normalized average, which is a that's PB,
bonkers,
that's PB, that's PB material for me.
Yeah,
and I can imagine he went. I think Lionel Sanders pushed 367, which is not bad for 2 hours
that's
20
amazing,
of riding, really, is it?
And it was also, I mean, it doesn't just come down to the pure power, does it? Because the Wiesbaden course, I've not been out there and done it myself, but we were reading reports of how technical the downhill was and how important you kind of, your bike handling skills and stuff were as well. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, and actually, that's partly where I missed out, because I didn't really get to ride that part of the course, unfortunately. But yeah, it was super tough race, and actually, I finished 10th in that race, but I kind of thought, if I put that performance in Copenhagen, I reckon that I can potentially get a podium there. So that just shows how high the standard was in that particular race. It was crazy, unbelievable.
Yeah, lo and behold, man, it worked out for you. I mean, let's ask you about this. Did you, obviously racing a 70.3 a week before a big Ironman, did you go full gas on the run afterwards, or were you kind of playing a slightly tactical game of backing off a bit towards the end?
In the 70.3, I went full gas, because I was in. I finished ninth, and 10th is kind of where the points really drop off.
Okay.
Also, 10th is the last prize money place, and I am a professional athlete, and I do like to try and make some prize money at these races.
Yeah, of course.
So it was really a case of fighting for every position at that race, because it is, if I'd missed out by 50 points on my Kona slot, then I'd be really kicking myself for backing off in Wiesbaden. I don't know. You are right. I would never say it's a good strategy to race 70.3, one of the hardest 70.3s before an Ironman. But we really, was
it just a case of your back was against the wall, and it was really like, well, if I don't get the points in these two races, I'm not going anyway, so I may as well kind of lay it all out there and give it the full beat.
Pretty much. But I was confident if I was smart, I could recover well. I mean, I finished the race, and the first thing I did was get a protein shake in, get a protein bar in. And then I stayed in Germany with my friend Patrick Lang. He won North American Ironman champ, so he's a bit of a hero now. And he didn't stop talking about it for the whole trip. No, I'm joking. He was a good lad, but he had a pair of normal tech boots, so I literally sat in them for 3 days. And honestly, we did a 100k ride 3 days after Wiesbaden and 4 days before Copenhagen. And I was looking at my program thinking, Luke, are you sure I need to be doing a 100k ride? In the middle of these two extremely hard races, and I just had to go with it. I mean, he definitely knows. One thing for sure is he knows more about Ironman than myself. So I did it, and I tell you what, I felt so much better, after doing that ride.
Wow.
So you can
So
really,
you really rate those.
yeah, you can really, make a strategy to recover well between these two races, and if you do the right stuff, it can really help, I think.
Do you really rate those sort of Normatec boots? Are almost like they look like two massive inflatable leg splints, don't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, I messaged them. I'm hoping that they might give me a little bit of sponsorship, because they were going to give me half price about 5 years ago. So I've got back to them now, and now I've realised how good they are. And
You're
so,
like, hook me up,
yeah,
man.
hook me up. Yeah, but they're really good. Yeah, I mean, I think for a start, it's very relaxing. I think it definitely flushes a bit of fresh blood around your legs, but it's also it's the same kind of thing as massage. It's half an hour where you're not doing anything apart from sitting down, just chilling out. So I think that also counts for something, even if the boots aren't doing anything at all. It's still good to have that time to chill.
And does it like pulse or something in there? Do you feel anything going on when you're wearing them?
Yeah, it starts at the bottom. It starts around by your feet and just slowly squeezes going up your thighs.
I see. Okay.
The highest intensity level, it squeezes you quite hard. So it actually leaves, when you get out, it leaves a kind of turtle kind of print in your leg. So it's definitely doing something.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's nice.
Well, there you go, man. Come on, Normatec.
I think it's worthwhile. We'll see. Yeah.
Oh wow. So right then, so you've had a week after Wiesbaden and you've drilled yourself and you're thinking, right, okay, if I can get top 5, I'm probably going to get the points to get through. Now looking at the results, it looks like you had a really decent swim. You came out with the lead pack there. How did the swim play out during the race? Was it fairly cruisy for you?
I really struggled with my swim the past 3 races. I'm not really sure what happened to it. I think a combination of I've been binging with races. I haven't had much training time in the pool, but also just a bit of lack of form in the swim. So I was pretty nervous about the swim because I knew I had to be out towards the front to get that jump in the first part. But luckily, it started quite easy, and then the first kind of K, it was pretty cruisy. It was pretty low heart rate, pretty low stress stuff. And then the guy, we have a pretty good swimmer in the race called Igor Amarelli, and he just kind of built the whole swim. So in the last kind of K, he was really ramping it up, and I think that shook off quite a few of our key rivals like Cam Brown, who won Ironman New Zealand 12 times, and a few of those guys. Those guys came a bit unstuck, and that's where the race kind of ended for them. So that's pretty good. I was pretty happy to be able to keep up with that. So
did it all sort of come down to the last K then when you sort of put 3 minutes into Cam Brown, do you think, over the last K?
No, he must have been dropped before that, I'd say. Surely.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't.
3 minutes is a lot to lose in that sort of gap, isn't it?
What was quite funny is it was kind of an out and back course. Kind of a rectangular out and back course, but so many age groupers got lost in the swim that they ended up on our side of the course swimming into us.
Man.
You'd all of a sudden look up and there'd be like, then there'd be multicolored hats from different waves kind of swimming towards you. And it was almost, that was part of the thing, because if they're getting in between you, then it kind of splits your group up. So it was kind of getting a bit hard around that as well. So I think as soon as Igor saw that people were kind of swimming towards us, he kind of ramped it up and tried to shake us off a bit.
Good
smart,
tactics,
really.
man. Yeah, using the age groupers as barriers and buoys to surge around.
It was quite funny though. But they must have been way off course. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, man. It's I did a race earlier this year and it was foggy at the start, and we had exactly that. You'd swim into people and look up and go, are you going the wrong way or am I going? I've got no idea where the hell we are, mate. You just got to kind of make the best of it.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and all
right then. So jumped onto the bike then. How many were sort of in the group as you got onto the bike?
Yeah, we had 6 of us in the group, and it was the pace was pretty hot for the first 60k, and after I wasn't really. I was feeling pretty good, but I was feeling that it was just a little bit too much for me. I kind of had that feeling that if I carried on doing this for another 3 hours, then I'm not going to be running very fast at all. It'll be more of a survival run. So I didn't let them go. I didn't like say, right, I'm letting you guys go now. They kind of started to drop me, and I didn't chase back on. I just let them go. But of course I was in second position on the bike, so people had to ride around me, and then I let 4 of them go, and then I kept the last guy for myself. So because I think he was also kind of struggling a little bit. So me and him rode together for another 90k. And we did.
Was that,
We did.
looking at the times, was that Alberto
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Casadi from Italy?
He's a good mate from the ITU days. So
Okay.
so we and we've had some nights out in Vegas after World 7.3 Champs. So I've got a little buddy there.
Nice.
And he so we took 5K turns for the next 90K. And then unfortunately I dropped him with 30K to go when he started to get tired, and then I kind of cruised in on my own. Not cruised in.
Gotcha.
I started feeling pretty good in the last 3 actually, and just kicked on home.
Yeah, got you.
And then
all right then. So
yeah, so that was good. But those guys had about between 8 and 6 minutes on me in the end. So bit of damage, but not too much, to be honest, for me.
yeah. And so you sort of looking, and you've got Andreas Raelert, Patrick Nielsen, Fabio Cavallo, and I can't see. It was
Igor Amarelli. Yeah, he was still there.
Oh, he was there as well. Okay, cool. Were you quite confident? I mean, I'm guessing you think with Andreas Raelert, you don't really know how he's going to run because of he's really just trying to validate, I guess, isn't he?
Yeah, you say that, but I was thinking that as well, but he swam fast. He rode, I think he rode out of his skin a bit, and then on the first 2 laps of the run, he was running really fast as well, like quite fast considering.
Oh, really? Okay.
Quite fast considering he was injured about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking, yeah, he would shut it down and cruise around. But yeah, I definitely ran way too hard for the first. Well, not way too hard. I ran too hard for the first 10K, and then I kind of shut it down for the next 20K. But it was still a bit too hard. But those guys in the end came back pretty quick. To be honest, I was pretty happy. I think by 20K I was in third, and about 1K later I think I caught up with Andreas as well, which is a good buzz because I really had no idea that I'd be able to catch him. He just appeared on the horizon, and I sort of gave myself a little mini celebration. I'm thinking, yes, I've just gone from fourth to second in 2 minutes. This is brilliant.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was a good buzz. Then I really started to hurt on the last kind of 6K until kind of 32K. I think I was on 2:39 marathon pace.
Wow.
But yeah, I couldn't hold it together on the last lap. Unfortunately, I think I was just getting tired, getting a bit wobbly, spending more time in the A stations trying to get around it. So,
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, it's good to hear that you have the same sort of experience that the rest of us do at the back end of an Ironman marathon, mate. It wouldn't be right if you didn't get your money's worth at the aid stations.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no.
Hey, but still, I mean, your marathon time 2:43.16. You were only a couple of seconds off the fastest run of the day, weren't you? 2 seconds behind Patrick Nielsen. So we can claim that because you're the guest host of the show. We'll claim the fastest run for you there, mate.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. No, it was amazing because. I mean, I did blow up on the last lap. That's for sure. Not too bad, but enough. But I didn't. Yeah. I had no idea that I was still able to get under 8 hours. And I came about a K out. I heard the announcer and the crowd getting excited. They're really kind of getting amped up. And I kind of really picked it up then because I thought maybe there's a chance that I'm still under 8 hours here, and it's definitely something worth having. It's a 7:59 something. You know, it's kind of a load of rubbish, but it's also media love it, and it is a big milestone in our sport. So,
it definitely is. It's the 4-minute mile of Ironman, isn't it? To do that, there's not a lot of guys who've done it still to this day, and it's a real good achievement, man. And when you think if it wasn't for Joe and Roth, then you'd have been the first Brit to do it. So that's. Hats off to you, man. That's a fantastic performance.
Yeah, I was really happy. I mean, I'm really. I did have it in the back of my mind for ever since I started Ironman. Really, I thought it'd be cool to be potentially the first British guy to go under 8 hours. But obviously, Joe beat me to that. But it's still an honour, and I'm really happy for it. It's a good confidence booster. It's good for my team, and I think it's definitely worth having.
That's great, isn't it? And so I suppose, like, if I was in your shoes, man, I'd be absolutely full of confidence now going into Kona and just thinking, you've had that 2 scorching marathon performances. You've shown you can easily swim with the front pack, and so looking at Kona, you're thinking, well, this is going to be awesome, right? The pressure's off, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the pressure is off. I mean, my team manager was kind of saying, look, just go out there, check it out, and get used to the conditions, see how it feels to race an Ironman there. But I'm really not going with that attitude. We've said all along that me and Luke Van Leer, my coach, that we're going to get we're going to try and qualify as easy as we can, which obviously didn't work out. It was hard to qualify in the end.
Yeah.
We're going to try and qualify with 85% fitness, and then for Kona we can ramp it up and try and get there in 100% shape. So I think still I was in decent shape obviously for this race, but I wasn't. I think I'll be better in Kona. I hope. I've got 6 or 7 weeks now to really do some damage in training and push on the form a bit. So
that's a great jumping off point, mate. At the 7:59 is a great place to start the build from, isn't it?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty exciting, really. I'm just excited to go out there and check it out and race the best guys in the world. It's going to be a super hard race. I mean, as I said before, the level's just getting higher and higher. So it'll be interesting. But at the same time, a lot of guys crack out there. A lot of guys mess it up. A lot of guys play their cards too early on the bike and are creeping around the run and pull out. So I think anything's possible. And if it seems that if you do a smart race there and you just execute each discipline like pretty solidly and you get round without blowing up or something, then you can normally do a top 10, I think. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for in this one, really.
Yeah, well, we saw that did last year, didn't we? With Dave McNamee went out there for his first time, and he had a really, really good race first time out. So, do you know him much? Have you met him at races and stuff?
No, Dave's on my team, isn't he? He's on BMC Ethics. So,
oh, of course he is.
I was rooming.
Sorry, man.
I was rooming with him in January this year, and I know Dave really well. I was on the British team with him for years. So he's a good lad. He's good fun as well. Talented. I reckon he'll be really good. He'll be really good very soon. I think he's one of the most talented guys out there, especially on the run. So
he had a storming first year last year, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an easy qualification process for him this year, wasn't it, with having the top 10 last year over there?
Yeah, he's definitely aiming for a big one here, that's for sure. So that'll be exciting to watch.
So it must be good for you having this setup around you at BMC Ethics, where you've got a lot of really quality athletes to buzz off and train off, and you see their performances and get to train with them and hang out with them. Has that helped you this year, do you think?
I think the whole team setup and the professionalism around it is something that you just wouldn't get if you weren't part of it. I've spoken before about Ben and Bob DeWolf. Ben's really the driving force in the team in terms of figuring out everything that we can do to be better athletes. And he's a guy that made the decision for me last year to go and get coached by Luke Van Leerd, and that was a big thing because that guy knows Ironman more than anyone. He's done it himself and he's done it with his other athletes. So it was good.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Luke Van Leerd for a while, because obviously for new listeners to the show, Luke Van Leerd's still the Ironman Hawaii course record holder, isn't he? He's previous champion. He ran, oh God, what was his run split there? It was insane, wasn't it? Did he run like a 35-minute last 10K when he set his 8:04 course record? So he's an absolute legend of the sport. He's also coached Freddie Van Leerd to a victory there already. So would you talk a little bit about your sort of your coaching relationship with him and how it's helped you?
Yeah, I mean, he's funny. He's really, one thing he's really good at is getting you ready at the right times. Like that's his biggest strength, is kind of getting you to peak right at the right time when it matters. And he's not a coach that's going to really overtrain you either. So he's really smart in terms of the program that he's setting you and the plan he's putting in place. So that's kind of gives you confidence, because obviously when you're training for Ironman, the first thing you think about is, I'm going to do a heap of miles. I'm going to train more than ever. I'm going to get super strong. But he's really not like that at all. If anything, I've trained less this year than any other years that I've been doing the sport. So it's
that's interesting,
it's
isn't
really
it?
Interesting,
isn't
yeah.
that?
I mean, honestly, the whole winter this year, I'm not sure I trained above 25 hours at all, really. I mean, it was really mellow, really training every day for sure, but really just really consistent, just like focusing on day in, day out, grinding out, nothing special, and doing the training. He really relies on his testing. He does his own in-house testing. So I normally go over to Belgium and or for example Lanzarote, because he's there a lot, and we do lactate testing.
Okay.
And he's kind of, he's not setting the same program as Fred Van Leerd as he is for me, for example. We have different things to work on, and he can see that from his testing. So that kind of really gives you confidence that he's doing the he's setting you that you're the right thing, and he will get you there.
Yeah.
And it's just like he just has a massive air of confidence around him. So you can't really question him. You just crack on, and he keeps on bringing the results. So it's awesome. But
well, he is one of those coaches who, if anyone's going to instill the confidence in you that training less is going to get you fitter, he is one of the guys you're going to listen to, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the other thing is he's not giving you hugs after every session. He's not like, I mean, yeah, he said congratulations to me after I think his email after this race was congratulations on your second place. So next week's training is this.
So no downtime, just well done, mate. Now let's crack on. Hi, Will. I think we just dropped out the signal there for a minute, mate.
Yeah, I think my internet's gone a bit dodgy. Maybe I'm not paying the bills or something.
Maybe you can afford to now. You've got that second at Copenhagen.
Yeah. A bit more, yeah.
Oh, so you were saying, so Luke's not the kind of coach who's going to give you loads and loads of praise. It's just kind of, well done, mate. Now let's crack on.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's exactly like that, yeah. So it's kind of nice because in a lot of my other coaches in the past, I would kind of always trying to impress them, or maybe going a bit overboard to impress them. So I show them my Strava file and just go, guys, look how many KRMs I got on an easy ride and stuff like that. And whereas if I said that to Luke, I think his he wouldn't be happy. Like, for example, I think this is
give you a slap.
This is quite funny. Actually. He said, I told him about Strava when I first met him, and he goes, "Will, you're like Robin Hood. You have 10 arrows, and you shoot this person, and you shoot that person, and you get to a race, and you got no arrows left." So it's like,
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, spot on. So now it's kind of crack on. Don't try and impress him. Just do what he says, and believe in what you're doing, basically. And I think that's really helped me, So.
I'm sure it does, yeah, because ultimately, man, you're going to impress him on the last 10K of the Queen K, aren't you?
I hope so. I mean, yeah, that's the aim, so.
Good stuff. Well, listen, man, we've had a question for Coach's Couch this week that's come through, and I think it's perfectly fitting for you. It says, basically, how can I best recover after doing an Ironman? And I think it's from the point of view of going on to do other races and stuff later in the year. So what would you do, man? What would your program for this week look like, having obviously it might be slightly different because you raced a 70.3 the week before, but what would a typical week for you look like after an Ironman?
Actually, I think a lot of it depends on what you've got coming up. So if you haven't got a lot coming up, then you can afford to kind of shut it down a bit more. But I think, to be honest, I wouldn't really. I think it depends on what sort of person you are. I mean, obviously an Ironman takes a lot out of you. So if you're kind of mentally fatigued as well as physically fatigued, then maybe you've hit that goal now, and you can take a nice week off and relax. And that's what I think that's what most people do. So that would probably be my main advice for most of our athletes. I mean, this week, for example, I'm actually doing a bit of training because I need to get cracking really, because I'm trying to train for Hawaii. But if you've got longer gaps than that, then I think you can afford a week off and to chill out. But I think that's good advice. I think things. I think if you can kind of look after yourself after the race, and not go on a unhealthy food binge, and rather kind of look after yourself, eat well, get lots of sleep, concentrate on eating more green foods, which is going to help you recover, extra protein, warm baths, all those kind of things, a lot of massage and stuff like that. I think you'll really recover a lot faster than if you just neglected it and just kind of sat on a couch and hope for the best.
Oh, mate, it's so good to hear you say that, because it's like the simplest things are the things that are going to give you the best return. The good food, the extra sleep. It sounds so simple, doesn't it, when you say it out? But there are no secrets, really. It's the natural, healthy stuff that's going to get your body back into the shape. And
not really,
like you said, probably, the age group who goes out and hammers the beers and a burger straight after the race because they've just held themselves back for 12 weeks. It's probably the worst thing you can do, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna help you out. I mean, to be honest, Ironman's a little bit long to count as a training session. I think it screws you up more than you get the benefit. But if you can recover fast after, then you can still take a good training effect and not really lose much. And within a month or so, you can probably race again and do pretty well. So kind of depends what your goals are going forward, really, I think.
Yeah, it's all about looking after yourself in that week after the race and not going nuts, though, I think,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's the key part. Okay, we're just going to take a quick break here for me to put in a word from our sponsors, precisionhydration.com. Really excited these guys have come on board as sponsors, and I invited them to become sponsors because I really believe in the product. It wasn't a case of us promoting them because they came to us. It was a case of us sort of saying, I think you've got something really, really valuable for the community. Now, as you'll have known, if you listen to the episodes around Ironman UK, Andy Blow from Precision Hydration, the sports scientist behind the company, performed a sweat test on me. And what that involved was me sitting down, him attaching a machine to me that tested how much sodium I lost in every litre of sweat. And the results for me were mind-blowing. Now, regular listeners to the show will know that I really struggled when I was racing Ironman because I was losing so much sodium that I was ending up feeling really, really sick at the finish line and basically ending up with hyponatremia on repeated occasions, to the point where the time I was really racing and taking it seriously, I ended up stopping racing properly over long distances because I was just getting so sick and ill at the end of these races. Now, having had the sweat test done and finding out that I lose 1600 milligrams of sodium for every litre of sweat that goes out, that's 4 times more sodium than's in the standard electrolyte drink. I could then take the Precision Hydration sachets. They come in different strengths. They are tailored to how much salt you lose in your sweat each time. And when I raced Triathlon X earlier this year using their hydration sachets, I felt great all the way through the race. And that was really important to me because obviously in a self-supported mountain marathon, I needed to be sure that I wasn't going to keel over and be really sick or pass out in a race where there was basically nobody else around. So you've got 2 choices here. You can go to the Precision Hydration website and you can answer some questions online, and that'll give you a really good guide to how salty your sweat is. Or you can actually see them in person. They've got sweat testing centres all around the UK and indeed these days all around the world, and you can check out their website to find out where they are. We're really excited. Last week we were able to hook them up with Rebecca Keat and Siri Lindley for them to be able to sweat test some of the athletes that they coach. So word is getting out about this company around the world, and I'm really excited about that because I think what they're offering is unique. And when it turns out that for a lot of athletes we're not getting the amount of sodium that we need even in an electrolyte drink, it's the little things you can take care of that are really going to help you perform to your maximum in the race that you're doing. So head on over to precisionhydration.com. You can do their online sweat test, you can read about the products, you can buy stuff direct from the website there, and I'd encourage you guys to support the sponsors who support the show and help keep it free every week. Right, so listen, let me ask you this. Obviously, you've had your own stuff going on this week, but the rest of the world has had their head in Rio. So did you get a chance to watch the Olympics, man?
You know what? I'm really gutted I didn't, because I was on a flight to Copenhagen at exactly the wrong time. So
heartbreaker.
I was following it on Twitter. I even turned on my 3G in a foreign country, and took the cost on the chin because I just wanted to follow the race as much as I could. But you know what, I can imagine exactly what happened though. I mean, I've raced the Brownies so many times, and I kind of knew how the race would unfold before it even started.
Dude, it's almost like
so.
It's like no one can do anything to stop them, isn't it? When they're not injured, you could have written out on a piece of paper how it was going to go. They're going to smash the swim, smash the bike, and then run away from everybody. And that's pretty much exactly what happened, isn't it?
I think the problem is there's not much you can do when they're that strong. I mean, they're swimming better, they're biking better. So and then they've got a gap, and they're committed, and they've got a plan, and they execute it and go for it. And there's not a lot you can do really, apart from try and chase and try and get the chase organised. Which is normally very, very hard to do.
Yeah, and then you said it.
I mean, I've been on the receiving end of it before, and it's just fascinating to watch. I mean, I raced them in Madrid 2008. It was the 2012. It was the Olympic qualifying race, and I had the swim of my life. I got out 10 seconds behind Alistair. There was a gap of about 15, 20 meters. And we rode up the first hill, and I managed to hold him. I was going completely flat out, managed to hold that gap. Second time up the hill, I managed to hold it again. And then I looked around me to see if someone could help me. And there was people like Jan Frodeno there and Ivan Rania, all strong guys, and none of us could. And we basically hesitated for 10 seconds, and then they're gone. And then next thing you know, it was a minute. Next thing you know, it was 1 minute and a half. And then it's just, I knew, and that's pretty much exactly what happened in Rio. Is, you know, there was a tiny gap out of the swim, and then they're gone. So
Yeah. Yeah, you almost feel sorry for the guys who missed the pack, because you know you're looking at Richard Murray's run and you're thinking the guy was clearly in fantastic form, and just not making that pack. I mean, you can make the argument, can't you, that the bronze was essentially his to lose there at the very least, and just by making that little gap, it was all over for him.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it's just the problem is, so I think a lot of people are happy for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th in that second pack. So they're happy to be passengers. So you've got guys like Richard Murray who want to chase them and get themselves back in the game after not being able to keep up in the swim. But if they want to catch the likes of that front pack, they have to be really organised. They have to roll through super hard. They have to all communicate well, and they just don't. It's just hard to get it organised. You know, it's not a team. It's not a team at the end of the day. It's individual athletes, and it's just. And Alistair and Johnny are riding so hard up front, and they've also got their compatriots from other countries like Richard Varga, and they all know the drill. Get out the swim, smash the first, commit on the first few laps of bike, and then they're just racing for on the run between themselves.
Yeah.
So it's it's fascinating to watch, and they're just incredible athletes. They're so strong, so talented, so committed.
Well, obviously, look, the big news was after the race. Well, I'm saying the big news. Obviously, they won gold medal and silver medal. But at the press conference, Alistair obviously said, you know, I'm interested in having a crack at the Ironman distance. So I thought that was super interesting that he's talking about having a go at that now, because you think, well, he's the nailed-on favourite for probably the next Olympics as well at this point. So what are your thoughts regarding him stepping up to racing Ironman in the next year or two?
Yeah, I'd put money on it that he wouldn't hang around for another Olympics. I think.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's the sort of guy who would probably get bored, actually. Really, he's not really a guy who's going to just keep on doing the same thing, keep on winning World Series, keep on winning, you know, trying to go for another Olympics or as many Olympics as possible. I think he'd just get bored, and he needs a new challenge. So I think he also needs it for his ego to prove that he can be the best at Ironman as well, the best triathlete all round. You know, a bit like Frodo's done. You know.
Yeah.
So I think he needs that for his head, and I think the other thing is he did really well in this Olympics, because it's getting harder and harder for him to be able to keep on churning out his results, because he just gets more and more injured. He gets more and more busy with sponsors and stuff, and I think it just gets harder and harder for him to be consistent. So I think he just relishes a new challenge and doing something different. And I'm pretty sure. I'm expecting him to be coming over next year to do some long course racing, I think.
Do you think it'll be, you know, obviously he won't have to do quite as much fast running as he moves over into Ironman distance stuff, and do you think that might have a sort of positive effect on his sort of having less running injuries, as it were?
I think so, yeah. I think it will, because it also helped Liz Blatchford when she came across. I mean, she was a very injured person when she was racing ITU racing. And she still gets injured now. Actually, she's injured at the moment, but she had maybe 4 years there where she didn't get injured that much, and she was kind of churning out great results. She didn't have to race so often.
That's another good point.
She could peak twice a year for an Ironman race, and then take a holiday afterwards, for 2 weeks, and then I think that would also be good for Alistair, is he wouldn't have to follow the circuit like they have to in ITU, and he can pick what races he wants to do and specialise in one-day racing, which is what he's good at.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I'm really excited to see it, man. I know most of the people in the world are. I can imagine that you might not be quite as excited at the thought of facing him over Ironman distance again.
No, it's not just him. I think there's a lot of ITU guys who are going to come across now, and the level is going to go up and up. So yeah, that's the thing. It's for my whole career, I think I improve almost every year, but you have to improve a lot to stay the same level, if you like.
Yeah,
So
of course. Yeah.
if I get 10th in World Champs this year, if I want to do that again next year, I probably have to improve.
Yeah.
So the level just keeps going up and up. I mean, he's a good mate, so it would be nice to race him and see him a bit more often. But yeah, he's such a tough guy to race. I mean, he's unstoppable. He's a bit unstoppable, isn't he? Really?
Yeah. Well, it's up to you to try, man.
Yeah.
You got to find a way through. You and Luke have got to put your heads together.
Yeah. I tell you what. One thing I like about Ironman though is really anything can happen. Like, I mean, in an ITU race, I mean, like. Yeah, I'm not sure. I beat him. I beat him hardly any times when I was racing him ITU. But in Ironman, anything can happen. You know, you have puncture to contend with. You have bad form to contend with, sickness and penalties and blowing up in the heat and bad tactics, nutrition. So it's kind of a bit more. It's a bit more fair.
Yeah,
It's a bit more fair.
There's more things in there, aren't there, to mix it up really, to kind of break that dominant athlete.
Yeah. Like I think if I race Javi Gomez 10 times in Ironman Hawaii, then I'll have a chance to beat him in maybe 2 of those, because he would probably mess it up. Twice out of 10 maybe he'd mess it up.
Well, you're going to get your chance, man. That's for sure. If things go to plan, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah. So the women's race over in Rio absolutely didn't go the way that people thought it was going to go. I mean, nobody foresaw Gwen Jorgensen making the pack on the bike by being there in the swim, did they? Nobody foresaw that. Of all the race previews I saw, it was all, how much of a gap is she going to have to make up after the swim? And to see her there virtually at the end of the swim was just mind-boggling, wasn't it?
I mean, I think she's just better on the swimming bike than people might think. I think they would like to think that she's got a weakness there, but actually she's come a long way. I mean, her coach and her have obviously worked on it hard, and they came into that race really well prepared. And it seems like the other girls just didn't really have the legs to get away.
Your Spirig was really giving it some, wasn't she? I had so much respect for her, because it was almost like you were going, come on, just somebody go with her. Somebody. We had Beck Keat on last week, and she was saying Flora Duffy and Andrea Hewitt are just going to go nuts on those descents.
Yeah.
And they did a couple of times, Flora Duffy especially. And I was just thinking, if just 2 of you could have got away together on that descent and had someone to ride with. But it seemed like every time Spirig had a go, Flora Duffy would miss it and then end up chasing her down almost, and in an attempt to break and bridge up, she'd bring the rest of them with her. I kind of think
half the problem with it is, they're triathletes, and they're running a lot, and they're quite skinny, and a lot of them haven't got that real jump on the bike to actually make the gap to then ride away. So someone like Nicola Spirig and Flora Duffy, they're very, very strong, but they're essentially just getting on the front and riding very hard for a while, and then everyone just moves onto their wheel and follows and grits their teeth for a while. I think one thing I really noticed is when you stop running. I mean, I saw it with Ben Bright when he was coaching us. As soon as he finished his career, he all of a sudden had this jump on the bike where he could accelerate really hard for a short amount of time and establish that gap, and then he can ride away. I think triathletes struggle to create those gaps because they just don't have that. They're almost running too much, so they haven't trained that real jump to actually make a gap and ride away. So I think it's hard for the women to really get splits on the bike sometimes.
Yeah. Well, especially the body types of the ladies, it's even more accentuated, isn't it? The fact that they are built like 5,000-10,000 meter runners.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they just don't have that muscle mass for the power for the jump. So you could see it on the climb every time. The pack of girls were just killing themselves to stay with Spirig, because they knew that if they didn't let her get away for another 7 times, it would come down to a running race.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's an amazing performance from Non and Vicky. I mean, I've known Vicky since I started uni here, and she's just come such a long way. And she's made all the right calls in the past few years, going to Leeds and training with Non, and having the best support network up there. She's done done really well to kind of end up on the podium after all that. I'm really happy for her.
Just brilliant, yeah. And wasn't it such a shame that there was only one medal to go between the two of them when they're like best mates and housemates as well? It makes your heart break for non-Stanford, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And it is a shame, to be honest, because I mean, at the Olympic Games, unless you're on the podium, it kind of, I mean, it means a lot to you and your fans and your friends. But fourth place is kind of fourth place onwards is really no man's land. I mean,
it's so easy to overlook them, isn't it? When there's been so much success. Yeah,
I mean, you're walking around the Olympic Village and no one cares about fourth place. It's just it's pretty sad, actually.
Yeah,
I think the first, I think when you win gold medal in the Olympics, you get put in first class on the way home. And the other medalists get put in business class, and I'm pretty sure business class was full this time after all the medals. But then everyone else has to sit in economy, and so it's quite funny actually, because I was obviously in economy with my 14th place coming back from Beijing. But you had people like Mark Cavendish sitting behind me, and Mo Farah, millionaires who can. They were trying to get a seat in business class at the check-in desk, but they just couldn't get it because it was all allocated to the medalists, and they're kind of kicking off because everyone was sick back there because they've been partying all week, and it was just a kind of depressing place to be. And then to rub salt in the wound, we landed on the tarmac in Heathrow, and all the medalists lined up outside the plane for all their medals, and we're stuck on for about half an hour, kind of looking out the window, just desperate to get off and get back to our families. And it's
it made you stay there while they took the photo.
Oh yeah, it's really kind of it's really.
Oh, it's brutal.
I can imagine it's really tough if you get fourth place and you
Yeah. Oh, bless. Well, do you know what? I hope more than anything that it gives her that spark of, to propel her to even greater heights in the future.
Yeah, she's a class athlete, so she'll win. She'll win lots of races in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, and she'll have other opportunities. So.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Wow, what an amazing time we're living through in British sport, hey?
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, have I got this wrong, or was it back in Atlanta? Steve Redgrave was the only one who won a gold medal. Is that right?
That's correct, from what I heard. Yeah, I was talking about this with some mates in the pub the other night, and we were trying to remember. I'm pretty sure it was just Atlanta with the single gold medal.
Yeah, so if you look back to that, it's unbelievable, hey, and we're just winning medals in all the sports. It's Great Britain's kind of a sporting superpower now, and to come second in the medal table ahead of China, it's that would just be unheard of in the other years. Like, USA and China just walk away with it, and then to get that third spot on the medal table was pretty special. But to actually move in between those two countries is pretty amazing. That's a massive. That's an enormous step, really.
And this 4-year cycle has just been, I mean, it's the pinnacle of what we'll experience in our lifetime. It can't ever get any better than this, can it? That third place there, the second place here, all these gold medals. I mean, I almost feel sorry for the kids that are around at the moment who've never known anything other than tremendous British success at the championships, because you think the other nations are going to catch up at some point, and it can't last forever. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with. We've got the Brownies, and we've relied on them for the past 8 years now. So it's kind of, well, no, not 8 years, 5 or 6 years. Yeah. I know what you mean.
So it's going to be interesting to see who fills that gap now. I mean, we've obviously been focusing on them at the Olympic Games and taking a domestique to last Olympics, and I just feel it's just a waste. I mean, a few other countries took domestiques to the Olympics this time. For example, the French pied off people like David House in favour of taking some domestiques to help Vincent Louis win. And it's just not really working. It's just, I mean, Gordon didn't quite make the front pack in. He didn't come close to making the front pack in Rio, and I just wish they would have selected him just to do his own race and be as good as he can be, rather than kind of wasting his talent being a domestique and slowing down his progression into a top athlete. It's just a bit of a shame, really.
You just hope, don't you, that the experience he's had of actually being at the Olympics will help him and propel him forward for the next Olympic cycle. And you hope that the guys who are coming through behind the Brownlees have not been so completely in the shadow that they haven't had the chance to, let's see where we go in the next Olympic cycle almost, if those boys are going to move on to long distance racing.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Back again.
Yeah, I think it's important to give these people opportunities as well, to give, to get these guys on the start line. And, they're not medal contenders at the moment, but maybe they'll rise to the occasion,
Yeah.
I mean, having Olympic Games to train for, surely you'd up your level, and try and figure out ways to be a better athlete. And
definitely.
I think that's something that we've been missing in the men the past 2 Olympics, and I hope it doesn't happen again now.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man.
That's politics, though.
It is. It's the politics of medals. Medals mean money.
Yeah,
isn't it? Really.
The guys in the British Triathlon office need to keep their jobs. So.
Yeah. And to be fair to them, they've done a good job of that for this time around.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Secured the money for another 8 years.
It's working,
so let's just
that's for
hope.
sure.
Yeah. Let's hope there's some more boys coming through behind the Brownlees, and we can keep this rolling for years to come. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm sure they will. They've inspired lots of people. So.
Yeah, do you know, I got a photograph from a pal of mine who's got kids aged 8 and 7 or 8 and 6, and they'd done like 73 laps around their close on the bike and the run in like a continuous duathlon.
Yeah.
I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. We
didn't know triathlon existed as a 6-year-old, and look at these kids, just a photo of them knackered lying in the front garden, and I thought, that's what it's about for me.
Yeah.
I love seeing the 2 sisters from Sweden crossing the line together in the marathon, having had a bad day.
Yeah.
There's more to it than just 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They got a lot of stick in the press, actually. I think.
They really did. They got hammered by the German coaching for like having a fun run in inverted commas, but
they were German twins, weren't they? I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I like the story about the Brazilian divers, the synchronized divers. Did you hear that one?
No, go on.
I'll try and keep it pre-watershed. But these.
Yeah, you do this. Family viewers listening to the podcast.
Yeah, children turn off now. There's a couple of Brazilian synchronized divers been training 4 years for the to win an Olympic medal for their country in the home Olympics. And the night before the race, one of them, they're sharing a room in the Olympic Village. They're best friends.
Okay.
One of them before the race brings home a rower to into her bedroom, and she kindly asks her diving partner, look, would you give us a minute, please? Maybe if you leave the room so we can crack on. And and sure enough, the next day they woke up and they came last in the final because they were so tired and distracted. No. And she went to press and completely alienated her partner. It was like, it was quite a big story in Brazil, I think. Actually, all over the world.
I'm glad I see that. Yeah, glad I didn't read that.
Imagine that training for 4 years and you and your partner does that to you. Nightmare.
That's not good, is it?
No, man.
That's not the Olympic ideal, right there, young lady.
No. Good gossip, though, isn't it?
We'll have you on again. We'll have Will Clarke's gossip corner, mate.
Yeah,
every
sure.
week. Send us gossip from around the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man. Well, listen. Just before we finish, I want to give a shout out here. We've had Ironman Sweden as well this weekend. Now, they didn't have a pro race on the men's side. It was taken out by Marcus Larsson of Sweden in a very solid 8:43.
Nice.
But Mark Livesey, who we've had on the show, husband of Caroline Livesey, finally smashed out his race of his life. He said his sub 9-hour race and went 8:56 for 7th place overall and the win in the male 40 category.
Yeah,
which
not bad,
which is very, very awesome. Solid indeed. Yeah, so good on him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give a shout out to a lad I coach called Andreas from Norway who was shooting for a 9:30 and he went 9 hours 12
nice.
to snag his Kona slot. So
perfect.
Pretty happy with that. And especially when I found out he'd actually been given a stop and go penalty on the bike for discarding a banana skin, if you can believe that.
Oh no. Biodegradable. Come on.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Breaks your heart a bit. So that'd been another space up for him. So well done, mate.
Yeah. Good to hear.
Listen, Will. We're going to let you go, man. You've got to go and get those Normatec boots on and get some recovery in after Copenhagen.
Come on, Normatec.
Send it through. Hook Will up. Come on.
Come on.
We've got to do that.
No, thanks for having me on the show. I enjoyed it.
Oh man, it's been absolutely awesome talking to you, mate. It's really good, and I'm so glad you've had that result. And it's a fantastic achievement going sub 8, fantastic getting second at Copenhagen, and I really look forward to seeing what you can do with the pressure off over in Kona. And go out there and have some fun, man, and enjoy it.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I will do. Yeah, I'll keep you updated.
You make sure you do, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, cool.
All right, you've been listening to the Cup of Triathlon podcast. I'm Rob Wilby, and I was joined this week by our co-host Will Clarke, former Olympian himself. It's awesome to have him on the show and hear his take on things as well. Thanks very much to our sponsors, oxygenaddict.com, precisionhydration.com, and triathlonbox.co.uk, and also to the patrons of the show who help support us every week. We really appreciate it. You can check that out by going over to the patrons page on the website and click to donate £2 a month, £5 a month, or £10 a month to help support keep the running of this show. Thanks guys, until next week, have a great racing and training week, and stay safe out there. We'll look forward to hearing from you all soon. Cheers now.